When God says no, it often feels like the world stops. We wonder why the prayer wasn't answered, why the opportunity vanished, or why the dream slipped away. But what we see as rejection is often the hand of God leading us towards something far greater than we imagine. His no is not the end of your journey. It's a sacred redirection toward your true destiny. God is not trying to harm you. He is guiding you away from what could destroy you and preparing you for what will fulfill you. Sometimes the very thing we ask for with tears in our eyes is the thing that would have limited our purpose. God sees beyond the surface. He sees tomorrow. He sees eternity. He knows what lies down every road, what waits behind every choice, and what hides within every desire. When He says, no, He is not withholding good from you. He is preserving something better for you. The delay you feel today is often divine protection. The closed door you resent may be the very thing keeping you in His will. In the Scriptures, we see this truth again and again. When Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, it looked like rejection. When he was thrown into prison for something he didn't do, it looked like failure. But in the silence of those years, God was working. The no Joseph heard was not the end of his story. It was the path that would lead him to a throne. The same God who worked in Joseph's suffering is working in yours. The rejection you face is a rerouting to destiny. God's no is an act of love. It is His way of saying, I have something higher, something you cannot yet see. It's easy to trust Him when He says, yes, but faith is proven when we trust Him in the silence. When the answer is not what we expected, that's where real surrender is born. We must remember that God's plan is not just to give us what we want, but to make us who we were meant to be. Sometimes the blessing is not in what He gives, but in what He withholds. Every detour, every disappointment, every door that closed in your face was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to direct you. The people who left your life were not your loss. They were part of your preparation. The job you didn't get, the relationship that ended, the dream that didn't work out, all of it is God's way of saying, I have more. So do not mourn what you lost. Do not resent what didn't happen. Lift your eyes higher, for the same God who said, no, is the same God who said, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you. His no today is the seed of a greater yes tomorrow. Trust His timing. Trust His heart. Because when God closes one door, He is opening one that leads to something higher than you ever dreamed. God never called His people to a life of comfort. He called them to a life of purpose. Comfort feels safe, but it is rarely sacred. The greatest moves of God always begin when someone steps out of what is familiar and dares to walk by faith. Every time God called a man or woman to do something great, He first called them out of their comfort zone. Abraham had to leave his home without knowing where he was going. Moses had to face Pharaoh, the most powerful man on earth, with nothing but a staff and the word of God. David had to stand before a giant with only a sling and a stone. None of these moments were comfortable, but all of them were divine. The truth is, faith and comfort cannot live in the same place. Comfort seeks safety, but faith seeks obedience. Comfort says, stay where it's easy. But faith says, go where God is calling you. The reason many people never see the fullness of God's purpose in their lives is because they choose convenience over calling. They want the promise, but not the process. Yet every promise in Scripture was birthed through a step of courage, a decision to trust God when the path made no sense. When you walk with God, He will often call you to places that stretch you, challenge you, and make you uncomfortable. He does this not to harm you, but to grow you. The wilderness is not punishment. It is preparation. The moments when you feel uncertain are the very moments when God is strengthening your faith. You cannot rise to a higher level while clinging to what feels safe. If you are to reach your destiny, you must be willing to let go of your comfort and step into your calling. Think of Peter in the storm. The waves were crashing, the wind was howling, and Jesus stood on the water calling him forward. Peter could have stayed in the boat, safe but unchanged. Yet when he stepped out, even though the water was uncertain, he did what no one else had ever done. He walked on it. It was in the discomfort that the miracle took place. The same is true for you. The miracle is not in the safety of the boat. It's in the courage to step out of it. God does not use comfort to shape destiny. He uses challenge. Every trial, every leap of faith, every risk taken in obedience brings you closer to His purpose. When you step out in faith, you discover that what you thought would break you actually builds you. The moment you stop clinging to comfort, you make room for God to move. So if God is stirring you, calling you to something new, don't let fear hold you back. The same God who called you out will sustain you through. The path may not be easy, but it will be worth it. Because comfort may keep you safe, but calling will make you significant. God didn't create you for a small life. He created you for a divine purpose that requires faith, courage, and surrender. When you let go of comfort, you take hold of destiny. Every trial in your life is not meant to destroy you, but to develop you. The struggles you face are not random. They are the refining fires through which God shapes your character, strengthens your faith, and prepares you for what's ahead. When you walk through difficulty, it's easy to ask, why is this happening? But often, the real question is, what is this preparing me for? God never wastes pain. Every challenge has purpose. Every tear waters the soil of future victory. The mountains you face were never meant to stop you. They are there to lift you higher, to stretch your faith, and to teach you how to climb. Just as gold is refined by fire, so too are God's people refined by the trials of life. It is in the heat of pressure that impurities rise to the surface, and what remains is something pure and strong. Without the fire, the gold would never shine. Without the trial, the believer would never grow. The hardship you endure today is creating strength you'll need tomorrow. When you read the stories of the great men and women of faith, none of them were shaped by ease. Joseph was thrown into a pit and sold into slavery before he became a ruler in Egypt. Daniel faced the lion's den before he was exalted. Esther risked her life before she saved her people. Even the Messiah himself walked the road of suffering before the glory of resurrection. Every crown in the kingdom is forged in the furnace of trial. God allows storms not to punish but to prepare. The storm reveals what is strong and what is weak. It teaches you to rely not on yourself, but on Him. Sometimes God will allow you to lose what you thought you needed, so you can find out He's all you really need. When everything else is stripped away, faith becomes real. The valley becomes the place where your roots grow deep, and the fire becomes the place where your spirit becomes unshakable. There will be moments when it hurts, when you feel like you can't go on, when it seems like the fire is too hot. But remember, the same God who allows the fire stands with you in it, just as He stood with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace. He stands with you now. The fire didn't burn them, it freed them. The same will happen for you. The trial that looks like it's breaking you is actually burning away what was never meant to stay. So when life gets hard, don't run from it. Rise through it. Don't curse the storm. Learn to walk on it. Every test is an invitation to trust God more deeply. Every pain is a preparation for purpose. You are being built for something greater, shaped for something higher. What feels like breaking is actually building. The fire is not your enemy, it's your teacher. And when you come out of it, you won't just survive, you'll shine. Because every trial that tried to bury you will become the proof that God was with you all along. You were not created to live small, ordinary, or defeated. You were created for something higher. Every breath you take carries purpose. Every step is part of a divine plan written before time began. You are not an accident. You are a design of heaven. The world may try to define you by your failures, your past, or your limits, but God defines you by your destiny. He sees not who you were, but who you are becoming. You are not forgotten or overlooked. You are being prepared for something far greater than you can see. God's purpose for your life is higher than your comfort, greater than your goals, and beyond your imagination. Sometimes it takes disappointment, loss, or delay to push you toward the higher place He has for you. When God removes something from your hands, it's because He wants to fill them with something better. The waiting is not wasted. It's where He shapes your faith, molds your character, and aligns your heart with His will. You may feel like you're stuck in a season of silence, but even silence is sacred when God is in it. The waiting room of faith is often the workshop of destiny. You must not measure your life by what you see right now. What looks like a dead end may be the doorway to your next level. God's timing is not man's timing. What He is doing in you is as important as what He will do through you. Before He lifts you, He grounds you. Before He promotes you, He prepares you. And before He fulfills His promise, He strengthens your faith to carry it. Your past does not disqualify you, it qualifies you. The pain you've endured becomes the testimony that carries His glory. The mistakes you've made become the soil in which His grace grows. God does not need perfect vessels. He uses surrendered ones. He takes the broken pieces of your story and turns them into a masterpiece that reflects His mercy. You may not see it now, but one day you'll look back and realize that every step, every delay, and every trial was leading you higher. So don't settle where you are. Don't let fear convince you that this is all there is. The enemy wants you to believe that your best days are behind you, but God says they are still ahead. His purpose is not to bring you halfway. It is to bring you to completion. The higher place He's calling you to is not built by striving, but by surrender. When you stop fighting for control and start trusting His hand, you'll rise above everything that once held you down. Lift your eyes. God is not finished with your story. He has something higher, something greater, something eternal. Every struggle you face is leading you closer to the promise. Keep walking, keep believing, and keep trusting, because the one who called you is faithful. The road may be steep, but the view from the top will be worth every step.